Chris, great to have you on the show again. Welcome everybody to this week's Build with Stakki episode, where we talk about sales tech, processes, and outbound sales. This week we've got Chris Doidge on for a second time, one of our few repeat visits. I saw a post from Chris recently where he, I don't know if admitted is the right word, but he's had a change of mind, maybe from that traditional sort of cold call heavy sense that both me and Chris used to have and hold. I probably still hold it quite heavily. But Chris put out a really interesting post about the nuances behind email infrastructure, email outbounding, and where its place is now. So I thought it'd be a really good person to have on. Chris is currently now the head of sales, sales operations, wearing many hats at NextGen Outreach. Chris, do you want to give a quick introduction, sort of where you are now and what you guys do?
Sure. Cheers, Johnny. So NextGen Outreach, we're essentially a company built to help companies on their mass, automated outbound, but whether that's email or LinkedIn. We're like a full holistic outsourced sales company. So that's where we started. We then developed the company into more recently outsourcing SDRs as well to go alongside that. So companies could basically be getting these leads from their mass outbound LinkedIn email campaigns, and then also have an SDR following up on those. And then as well as that, we are quite big within the fraction leadership. So we know a lot of customers, a lot of sales leaders, and always play like a middleman about matching those guys up. Essentially, someone could, if they needed someone to just come in and help them build a strategy for the next 3 months, we've got someone for that. Or if they need leads in the next kind of 6 to 8 weeks, we can do that, and everything in between. That's kind of where we started about a year ago, just short of that. And then as of recent, we've started to grow quite a lot. Started obviously with just 2 of us, up to I think we're a team of 11 now. And hopefully going to grow that in the next kind of 2 months as well.
Great stuff. Cool. So let's dive into the crux of it. And if anyone maybe doesn't know mine or Chris' background, we were both at your traditional outsource SDR agency. I was there for 8 years. Chris, I think for 6 or 7. And we really learned in that traditional cold call environment. Chris, give us a little bit of an insight into what that was maybe like, what that setup was like.
I mean, it was amazing. It was great. Probably 2019, I think, when I joined. It was fully sort of cold calling first. You'd be kind of doing those traditional $100 a day. Ideally getting somewhere to that 10 pickup mark, having an hour of talk time a day. The occasional follow-up email might be sent. But to be frank, other than that, it was just hammering the phones. Probably go as far as to say as well, anyone back in the day who I saw sort of emailing or taking 20 minutes to send a LinkedIn message, I'd kind of see them as falling behind a little bit, and maybe scared of the phone and those sort of old school thoughts. I think I've changed a little bit. I'm still definitely cold calling first, but I think over the last sort of 6 months specifically, I've just seen it with my own eyes, the developments around the other ways of doing it. Which is obviously what my post was about.
Yeah. And I guess you're not saying that cold calling doesn't have a place anymore. And all the stuff we learned in that environment, the motivation, the team environment, the drive, the ambition, all of that stuff was second to none, I feel. But you're right. I remember that cold email aspect of it. Occasionally I might send a cold email if I really needed to try and get through to this person, and even then it was probably because I had a referral to them and then could not get them on the phone. It wasn't just because they hadn't picked up. If they hadn't picked up, they'll pick up in the next, it was your last $50 at some point in the next 6 months. And I'll just keep going through my list, varying the data, changing how, and that gave us really good call habits. And I know you had some of the best call habits and were one of the top performers for a long time, right? And we see this in the market, all the noise about all these different sales tech and all these different tools. And I think there is that slightly old school element, definitely still like in my head, which occasionally creeps in. And I have to like push it to the side, that we should just keep calling. Like, everything else doesn't matter. And you're not saying that cold call doesn't have its place, but what's the nuance that you've started to think about with new to how that balance should be?
I think sometimes I focused on the wrong thing. So what I mean by that is 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, maybe even longer than that actually. Sorry, like mass outbound or just sending like generic emails out was quite common, but obviously the response rate was pretty poor and no one really did well of it. And over a period of time, people started to kind of clock onto that and change to maybe taking 20 minutes out of the day to do one email and make it really specific about, they've seen this person has gone to a certain university that they can relate to, and they might live around that area, and they start the line off with, talking about the local bar in that area, those sort of things. And I think that really worked because I think at the time we thought it worked because it was personable. I think on looking back, I think it worked because it was different.
Yes. Yeah.
Not because it was necessarily personal. And I think
referring to someone's university, it's going to help you close deals, but it will make back then maybe open email.
Exactly. Fast forward like 5, 6, 7 years, and you probably see it on LinkedIn, like every person is doing these like hyper-personalized messages, right? And everyone's talking, finding something that they can relate to this person to get an open. And I'm sure you see it on LinkedIn. Like, look, people cross the line. I mean, I don't know if you saw one the other day. Someone did like a post about, I saw your name. It went viral. It was like the head subject was like, I saw your name in the Epstein files. Only joking, whatever. And it's like, yeah, that might get someone to open it, but it's, that's not going to work. And I think, again, because now everyone's doing the hyper-personalized and things like that, it doesn't work because it's not different. Everyone's doing it. And yeah, I was just of the opinion that if you were going to do emails or LinkedIn, it'd have to be that way. I think I've maybe like understood a little bit more that it's not necessarily about what you do. It's just what's different to what everyone else is doing. And I think it might sound silly, but going back 10 years ago now, I think the thing that people aren't doing now is automated mass outbound that is somewhat generic. Like you're not, making it individual to that company. You're just saying, these are the problems. This is how we solve it. What do you think? Yeah, I don't think many people are doing that now. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it, but we ran in the last couple of months a few of these campaigns, and they have been like amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's maybe like where my head's at a little bit, and where like maybe my change of opinion has come from, really.
So you've changed your view on email. There is a place for it then, and it's about being different but still being relevant, problem led. Where's that balance now in your mind between cold call?
Yeah,
because I think I know what you're going to say and where you're going to go with this. And maybe that's just because we had such similar opinions from where we learned, right? But yeah, where's that balance, and how do you set teams up to use both?
I think if you're not picking up the phone, you're never going to be as successful as someone that is. I still believe that to this day. I think it is. Yeah, I think it's the more proactive way of doing it. I think you're keeping control a lot more of the outcome. And yeah, I think the best SDRs or BDRs, AEs, whatever it is, do that. Where I'd say the balance has maybe shifted is I'd always say like SDRing needs to be like 90% of what you do. And if you want to do 10% here, great. I think now, and where the company that we started, NextGen, lies is we are very much first. The first thing you should do is set up an infrastructure that allows you to automatically send out X amount of emails or LinkedIn messages or content to your ICP. That's the like non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Then I think for me, if you want to be smart about it and get the best out of that what you're doing there, you then should be getting SDR alongside that.
Interesting.
The reason I say that as well is not because of any sort of benefit to me. It's just purely what I've seen over the last 6 to 9 months of helping create this business is people are seeing amazing success through mass outbound. And the reason they're seeing that is because, yeah, like I said before, I don't think many people are doing it. Our customers that are seeing the most, like absolutely smashing it, are the ones that are doing that and then having an SDR or two alongside that to follow up with it. Because like you say as well, just because you get some good replies doesn't actually mean they qualify.
Yeah.
Like you need someone to chase up with that.
Just to go back there on something you say, you keep referring to it as like mass outbound. What do you just clarify or like qualify that for me? Because I'm sure there'll be some people whose like ears will be on fire because they're like, oh, he's just like, what, just email blast everyone? But I know that's not your thing.
No. So over the years, I guess, yeah, emails and LinkedIn, these companies, say your Gmails of the world, your Outlooks of the world, LinkedIn, they've obviously got a lot smarter around, stopping what you just mentioned there, just blasting everyone with messages, right? There are protocols in place now, which, if you open a Gmail account and try and send 10,000 emails on day one, that domain is going to get blocked pretty quickly and you finish. And I think rightly so. Like, it's lazy. I don't think it necessarily works or helps. Whereas we've got mass outbound via emails or LinkedIn, the work we do before we send those is extensive. And what I mean by that is finding the right ICP, finding the right job titles, finding the right problems that these job titles will have. Every email that we send, we're creating that one email and then probably about 10 to 12 variations of that email based on the different job titles that we're going to go after, the different problems that each job title would have. So when we talk about like generic, the problems and job titles we are very like specific on. The generic element for me is we aren't talking necessarily about that individual person's, hobbies on their LinkedIn and things like that.
Is relevance over personalization, right? That's what one does, and you can repeat, and it's going to help you learn more about your personas and help you upskill your messaging.
Without a doubt. And then there's, I'm sure we'll get into it. And then there's amazing tools out there that give you the ability to send, one of the big things that we're doing at the minute, one of our big propositions is we're helping companies in the US expand into Europe. As you can imagine, how many companies there are in the US, 10,000 emails into the US is not a lot. And so we have the ability to send 10 to 15 to 20,000 emails over like a month period into the US market because of these amazing tools, and they're super, super relevant, but maybe not amazingly personalized, like you mentioned.
Amazing. So you bring in more of that like balance, and I guess people might call it like that modern outreach. But one thing I'm interested in is like when we used to be like cold call heavy, we would hope that marketing was still doing maybe email marketing and doing events and all this type of stuff to feed those SDRs. And now we've maybe seen the rise of like this go-to-market engineer type role as well, which is like, how would you recommend a company like split that workload up between maybe what marketing are doing? Is it a go-to-market engineer then holding all this like mass email and mass outreach, and then the old callers picking up what comes back from both? Like, how does that synergy work?
Great question. Relevant, to be fair. We actually very recently have one of the SDRs in our team. We've actually promoted them to a go-to-market lead to take control of this, I guess, aspect of the business. Where I see it differing, from marketing in our mind anyway, is marketing for me is, and where it's doing really well for us is it's about brand awareness, firstly.
Yeah.
But also the way I see marketing is brand awareness to then create market qualified leads. And like the people that we're speaking to that come through our marketing team, the qualified rate is very, very high. They're doing a great job. And the ones that don't qualify, it's not necessarily because there wasn't an opportunity or things like that. It might be, don't think we can do a particularly great job. We don't know that market too well. Something that we'd still be more than happy to take that call. So for me, marketing is brand awareness, highly qualified leads, and also, to be honest with you, a bit more forward thinking. I see marketing as not for the next quarter necessarily. Marketing is forever in the future and continually developing the brand. Where I see our go to market is what changes and what, processes and campaigns and things that we do to generate revenue in the next 3 months, 6 months. It's not necessarily about, making sure that X person down the road knows who we are. That would be great, and it might be a byproduct of some of the work that we do in that section. But that's how I see the difference between the two. And I think traditionally marketing has been both of those roles, and that's maybe where like the disagreement between sales and marketing has come from. Whereas at the minute we have marketing as our brand, the future, high qualified leads, and then a go-to-market engineer that we have. What can we do in the next 3 to 6 months with the tools that we have at our disposal to increase revenue?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, I think we came up in like a similar conversation with Chris Wixon, one of our earlier episodes. Like, marketing, like there was so much as SDRs became such a big thing, and every company started to build them. Like, there was always like sales, there was always attribution to different metrics and to the sales team, and then marketing wanted like similar attribution. So everyone started to like find how do we attribute revenue and leads and stuff to marketing. And I think Rory Sutherland talks about this a lot as well. It's like it almost then sort of hampered some of like that forward thinking marketing and that brand awareness stuff. Like some of it's just going to be maybe hard to actually attribute back to, and actually some of it should be that forward thinking that represents the brand that just keeps you out there for like, the next 9 months, 18 months, 36 months ahead. That's what marketing should do. And so that go-to-market engineer role, the way you've just described it, probably frees them up to just be a bit more forward-thinking, open.
100%. I want one of the things I often say to James, who runs that part of the business for us, is I want him to be creative. I want him to come in every day thinking like, what can I do? What can we do this week with the amazing tool set that we have, with the amazing knowledge that we have, that will, one, be different to other people, and two, like what's going to generate results. I think marketing needs to be a lot more like structured, planned. Like this is, you can't have one message going out one week and then change the tone completely for the next. Your company needs to have that stability. Whereas a GTM specialist, whatever you want to call them, I want them to come in and be like, do you know what? That didn't work last. I don't think that's working. Let's try this.
Yeah.
And that's very different. Like that. That's very different.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excellent. So let's dive into like the bit I've been really keen to actually get to and talk to you about. Let's do the build with Stakki section. Let's look at maybe, well, in fact, I'll build it and you tell me where it's wrong. Like that traditional stack. That me and you both will have like used multiple times, or like some variation of will have used multiple times, right? So traditionally for like cold SDR agency, hard outbound, will have used Salesforce. We'd have probably had like LinkedIn. We'd have then used something like a Lusher.
Yep.
And we'd have had, I think we did have an Allego. For some like coaching and stuff. And then we'd have used Aircall for a dialer.
For sure.
And that was it. And we would like the reason we did so well was like we had that own central database with so many SDRs, so we could build our list quite quickly out of our own Salesforce with all of the insights we had. But then reps would source their own contacts, build those lists, enrich with Lusher, 100 dials a day. We'd then coach the crap out of them. Probably every day, like almost daily coaching, feedback on calls.
Yep.
And that's where we get high performing SDRs. Like I think across the SDR team, like our top performers doing like 25s and 30s. But like the company average was probably like 14 or 15 across the board from new starters all the way up. So yeah, that's that traditional, which I know up until maybe the agency that you started now, you now have this new spin. So what's changed? Like talk me through where you start to make changes.
So
I'm just go straight to email infrastructure here.
Sure, yeah. So I guess first thing on the thing on the right, when we say traditional, like I think it's very easy, and I know we're not doing that, but I think it's very easy when we use the words like traditional or back in the day or whatever, like it can seem a bit like derogatory towards those times. Like, I think if any company out there doing outbound had those tools on the right and were doing that approach, I think that if they have good people in place, they'll be successful. It's a, like,
100%.
it's a great setup.
And like me, that this is pretty close. Like I might change the data tool for another one, or I might change the dial for a different one. That's pretty much how I set up a lot of teams, and I want to get the team good at calling first.
Yeah.
But you have like the extra layer of knowledge now.
For sure. So this is where again it becomes, and if you want to go down this route, you kind of have to be willing to kind of put your hand in the pocket, because, like I say, a lot of the things there, like I would still have. You still have your CRM. You still obviously would have LinkedIn Sales Nav. Allego, I think is great. So on here, for me, one of the best purchases that we've made over the last 6 months is Instantly. For me, like you said, it's without a doubt, it's super. I mean, it's super user friendly. It's not complicated to use at all. The AI automation in it is great. We have not seen many issues to it at all. So yeah, Instantly is fantastic. And the other thing that I really like about it, and it might seem basic, but its ability to split campaigns for you and give you really good an output of like what's been the impact of those campaigns is brilliant. We tried a few others and it was a bit, it didn't necessarily, the ability to split campaigns wasn't great. So yeah, Instantly
allows you to sort of build a lot of the email infrastructure out of the box as well, right? So you don't necessarily need a lot of the other tools, but I imagine in your case there's probably going to be some others in there for the infrastructure stuff.
Yeah, so to be honest, when we started, Instant was, to be fair, the only one we use. We do use a few others. So there's I don't know if you've heard of these or worked with these, but there's a company called Find Email. They are amazing. Yeah. I will be honest, I was dubious, but we have seen some good success. Depending on the region you're going after, I think it like changes a little bit, but it's really helped us. I think, to give you some numbers as well, we've ran campaigns with and without it, and we saw generally about 25% drop in like bounce back.
Wow.
From using it, and like I was expecting like 10% maybe.
What's Find Email doing for you?
So essentially what it's doing is, I mean, you can, so if you look at some of the tools you put on there, the Lushes of the world and things like that, these companies, they're great, and they obviously scrape emails, but what often they can do as well is if they have 10 emails on a certain format, it will sometimes assume that someone else has that same format. So they know a company has first name dot surname at company. They might not have an actual email for said a different person, but they will assume it's, what Find Email does amazingly well is essentially it verifies that through a couple of different routes, and it basically allows you to, when the emails that you're finally sending out, you're pretty damn confident these are the right emails to go after.
Yeah.
What do you think? You're doing it. We're doing it on our ads.
Yes,
it's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so it's great.
So you've got good email infrastructure with good sending ability and Instantly, and then you've got great email verification. So you're making sure, you're removing some of those catch-alls and those assumptions that other like traditional vendors may have made.
Yeah. And we're using, the other thing we're using is, I guess the step before this is we're using Clay. We don't use Lusher. We use Clay for 3 hours.
And how are you guys using Clay then? You say it's the step before. What's it doing in that step before?
So what we done a couple of months ago is we basically got data sets of, I think it was around 1,000 companies, and we ran we run a test basically using Clay, Cognizant, BetterConnect, which we actually still have loads of. And then what we then done was run that through FindEmail to see basically what came up with the highest percentage of accurate numbers, and Clay was not massively, but definitely came out on top. BetterContact is another one we use. So what we've started to do recently is, I think the common phrase is the waterfall.
Waterfall, yeah.
Waterfall approach. But yeah, that's something that we're doing as well. So it will go through Clay, through to BetterContact, and so on.
Yeah, and like, so what I see with a lot of people doing like this wider email outreach successfully versus people who maybe have tried it, don't think it works. You can apply that to any channel. We've had that hundreds of times when people challenge us on cold calling. But what you're doing really well here is there's several layers of like verifying the data. You've got like Clay to build the lists, find contacts, BetterContact, one of the best Waterfall enrichment providers there are. They're probably one of like the pioneers in that space. And then you've got FindEmail to also verify that any email is like actually the right email and is a genuine one, not a catch-all, not anything else. So that's like one of the key differences of why you have such like success.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well is it just comes down to, I live my life through sort of just doing the maths on things. But if you're sending large amounts of emails out, and even if your hit rate, was 1%, 2%, like super low, if you're sending out huge amounts of emails, spending that extra maybe, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 grand a year on a FindEmail, for example, if that increases your hit rate from 1%, 2%, that is absolute value for money. If you're getting, just one deal extra a year off that, 100 grand a year, it's unbelievable value.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that's another thing where potentially my opinion has changed a little bit, where I maybe wasn't doing the maths on it, because I didn't believe in the outcome. Once you believe in the outcome that you get from it, and you start doing the maths on this stuff, like, it makes complete sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you still? What's also I need to remove from this top section as well?
So we use HubSpot instead of Salesforce, but we do not have Allego. We're actually in the process of creating our own training tool that is Allego. So we obviously record. I mean, we use Aircall and the HubSpot dialer actually, but they both obviously have playback features allowing you to call. But we're actually creating our own training tool at the minute. Instantly is good. FindEmail, Clay, BetterContact. Yeah.
What about LinkedIn?
Yeah, so that comes onto our. So we obviously all the team will have LinkedIn Sales now. We also run automated LinkedIn campaigns that do a very similar thing, but obviously start with a step before sending messages like emails, because obviously you're starting to do connects first. So it's slightly different. Again, we do a lot of that ourselves. We actually have you had much experience with Warmly?
Yes. Yeah. Good tool.
Yeah,
very good for like captures the first party intent, but then can also then basically enrich that company and push them straight into the LinkedIn outreach, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's something that we've been doing. Well, we started to do, like, I guess, kind of manually, and just kind of work out what's the best way to do it. And then these guys are great. So
yeah. And Warmly, is it global or is it just US?
We're just using it for US. I don't know if I don't know if it is into Europe. But yeah, that's where we're running our campaign of basically like US market. So we're trying to break into Europe, instead of having to sort of just hire people, get an office, start here before actually knowing the intent. We can run these sort of campaigns, work out the intent, and then have someone here on the ground following up on those before they have to put the huge cost of sort of getting people out here.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. And is this getting close to the stack now, or are there a few others
I'm just trying to think. That's pretty much it. We have like our generic sort of G Suite and Slack and those sort of things. But yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it.
Nice. This is again like you've built like the infrastructure thoroughly here. You've got multiple layers of verification and stuff, and that's going to like allow the emails to keep going, you to pick up like signals, triggers, I guess MQLs and stuff like that, right? And then we're still having good cold call habits on top of that.
100%. I'll give you an example, right? Like I use you, James, right? Like you would, work as hard as you can from 8:30 in the morning, probably when we'd start dialing, to sort of 5:30, and you come out let's say you come out the month with 20 meetings, and you've absolutely grafted to get that. What we're saying is, or the way we've done it is, that's still the case. Still do that, but how about that? Every time you came in at 8:30 in the morning, you had 8 to 10 replies from LinkedIn or whatever. That was your first hour of the day. And it would only take, you might get one, you might get none, you might get 5, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying. It's just giving that leg up to the first sort of like hour of the day, where majority of the time the guys will come in, book a meeting based off that, and then crack on with their day as normal. Suddenly your month goes from grafting for 20 to grafting for 40. And like those sort of, it's not necessary. I don't see it as like a way of making it easier. Essentially like having to do less. Yeah, you just kind of do the same, but you got that leg up when you walk in on Monday morning, and then suddenly
and that is exactly how like we try to talk to our customers at Stakki. Like all these new tools, they should not be about replacing SDRs or like doing that all your outbound is going to go over to cold email and stuff like that. Have a really good cold call structure and habits, and then supplement that with good email and LinkedIn protocols infrastructure. And suddenly we can, like, that capacity for a good caller goes through the roof, because they, like you said, they can come in, they've got maybe 8 to 10 opens, replies and stuff that they can really like get that extra 25, extra 30, extra 50% in some cases.
Yeah.
And so companies should now be thinking that, how do I, instead of hiring like 2 more SDRs, are my current SDRs at capacity? Like, have I got them completely like working really hard and I guess like armed with the right weapons or the right tools, the right support? And then I can probably look at hiring. This, like, when you see SDR teams who are maybe booking 4 or 5, and I think no matter what market you're in now, with the tools, companies, any SDR should be booking close to like 20, if not more, because if it's an easier market where you used to be able to book 20 or 30, we'll set up all this right support like you've just walked us through, and they can probably be doing 40 plus or 40 a month at least, right? Or get, if you're in a market that was harder, maybe it was 4 or 5 a month, get all that right infrastructure set up for them to support them, and they should probably be doing 10 to 20.
There's two things on that as well, and why the SDR is so important. We've noticed an amazing response rate from outbound email, LinkedIn, and so on. However, what we've also noticed is, once someone replies to that, if you're going back again via an automated email or any email, whatever, the chances of actually seeing a lead from that opportunity drops dramatically. Getting one response, I think, is like fantastic. The next thing has to be someone talking to that person.
Yeah,
that's one reason I think it's super important. Is I think this is like what we're doing, and loads of people are doing it. It clearly works. For us, we're still seeing people buy from people, and that second interaction needs to be by an SDR picking up the phone. The second thing on it, and like you mentioned there, like we've seen it before, like a company might have quite a unique message into quite a unique ICP, and they might see 3 or 4 opportunities a month being a good job, right? And they might be paying an outsourced company 10 grand for that. What we're saying is the price isn't going down. That person still might cost 10 grand, And now the price actually might have gone up because now all these tools are now going to cost you 12 or 13 grand.
Yeah.
But instead of paying 10 grand for 3 or 4, you pay 13 grand for 15 to 20. And it's like, none of these things that we're talking about, and I don't think any developments in life are necessarily always cheaper. Like it's not necessarily cheaper, it's not necessarily easier, but what it is for value for money and impact to the business that you're at, it's a no-brainer to me.
Excellent point to finish it on there, Chris. Like, I really like it. I like seeing this, like, I guess, change. Obviously, knowing you so well, this change in like your thought process and how it comes together, I think is a really good lesson for anybody who might be like cold call like only, but also anyone who's like never cold called and it's just all email only. It's like, actually, you need to learn how to blend them together. So great having you on. Great if you share all of your insights and that tech stack. Where should people go and find out about you in the business as you grow and continue to go strength to strength?
We've actually just great timing, just read on our website. So
Nice.
NextGen Outreach, or Chris Doidge on LinkedIn. See you there.
Excellent. Thanks very much. And everyone, will see you on the next one. Please like and subscribe. Cheers.